You dream about food when you're camping? I mean, I know people who, I mean, strict vegetarians, and they said, they get out there, you know, I have the strangest things about Big Macs and, you know, all sorts of, he says, I hate to say this, but, you know, these are, you know, milkshakes or, you know, these are the, well, I mean, they were able to admit this, but,
Well, I was vegetarian for a long time, and I hung around a lot of people who are vegetarian, and even more specialized diets like raw vegetarian and
oh yeah,
macrobiotic.
yeah.
And to me, most of these special diets are a cover for an eating disorder. And constantly these people, like let's say the raw vegetarian people, they're constantly breaking the diet system. And you know, so they look, you know, they on the surface you see this person eating this organic salad, you know, and the specialized salad dressing that he made himself, you know, out of fermented foods that he fermented himself. But what you don't see is that every afternoon he goes and gets himself a Big Mac.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So for me, when I became a vegetarian, I had no craving at all for meat whatsoever. So I never had a dream about eating meat, except for once actually. I remember now, I had a dream maybe 20 years into being a vegetarian, and to me it was a shamanic dream. I dreamt I was in Siberia. This was in the 80s. And I'm a visiting physician with other physicians, herbalists, shamanic physicians. And this one old Siberian shaman comes up to me and he says, "You need bear heart." And he goes and slaughters a bear and pulls its pituitary out, I think, something like that, and hands it to me. And I ate it in the dream. And when I got up from the dream, I went, maybe I need some, I don't know if you're familiar with something called a protomorphogen.
No.
It's basically a glandular extract that's been freeze-dried.
I see. Okay.
And so I went out and bought a bottle of pituitary. Even though in the dream he said heart, he pulled out the pituitary. And so I got a bottle of pituitary and ate it. I didn't notice any change in my my health, but I ate like one pituitary pill a day until the bottle was gone, and that was it, you know. So,
well, I have to be careful that I get enough B12.
Well, there you go.
You know, and so
vegans have to do that, and you know what? They can remain vegans by having one 12-ounce bottle of beer every day, and that'll give them all the B12 they need.
Yeah. So then I said, well, okay, once in a while I can have some ice cream. But, you know, I got to be careful because, you know, and you got to buy the right one, because if you know, and you look for, you know, saturated fats, and you got to read all the labels.
I look for the one with the highest level of fat in it. Haagen-Dazs.
Well, hey, it tastes good.
That's right.
And
my
good.
cholesterol always comes out good, so it's like, okay, I can have Haagen-Dazs whenever I want to.
That means your system handles it.
Right.
But they changed as we get older. They changed the criteria for what the scales change.
Sure.
And you know, and then they go around and they change their view on something.
Sure.
You know, I mean.
Well, the other thing is I'm not having a pint of Haagen-Dazs every day.
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
I might have it a couple times a year.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Exactly.
But when I do have ice cream, well, I do it right.
Yeah.
You know, I get
yes.
good ice
Yes.
cream, not
yes,
crummy ice cream.
yes.
So I don't walk away going, you know. I mean, recently, because of money, I actually had, you know, Breyers, and a lot of people think Breyers is good stuff, you know. And then when I was done with it, I went, you know what? That wasn't Haagen-Dazs.
Right.
You know,
Right.
the
Right.
flavors are not quite. You know, there's to
Yeah,
me,
yeah,
the
yeah.
people who make Haagen-Dazs, they must have a gourmet there, really getting the recipe just right.
Yeah, yeah,
Whereas
yeah.
Breyers, you know, they just throw it into the container, they leave the cream out. And so you have this kind of unfulfilled. I had this unfulfilled
Yeah,
experience of having that ice cream, whereas
Sure.
Haagen-Dazs, it's so fulfilling. I just
Well,
don't even need to repeat it for months.
Well, yeah, exactly. And once in a while.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I can, yeah, I do that. I do that sort of thing once in a while.
But you know, I think
or Ben
enough.
and Jerry's or
Or
something.
right, or I'll have a Ben and Jerry's, one or the other. To me, they're kind of, you know, pretty much the same thing. They're both really
Yeah.
well-made ice creams with a high fat content, and I'll eat one or the other for sure. So, but I think that, you know, part of the reason why I'm not abusing the privilege of eating ice cream, right? I mean, part of it is because I can't really afford to buy expensive ice cream every day.
Right.
The other side of it is that being like a rigorous contemplative, I'm just not driven by obsessive compulsive
Right.
behavior.
Right.
So I'm not going to go out and have 5 pints of ice cream in one day,
Right.
right?
Right.
Let alone one a day,
Yeah.
or even one a week. You know,
But once in a while,
once in a while, it's a.
I mean, you intuitively know when.
I think
Yeah,
that's
I
it. As
mean,
I'm
that's-
going on
that's-
intuition,
That's
when
one of those things.
Right.
So, okay, this
Right.
must be the day,
Right.
but it's rare.
Yeah.
But I mean, with some people, if you tell them they can't have something, then they want it even more.
Right. Well, and the reason why is because most people aren't contemplatives. Most people come from dysfunctional family systems like the rest of us,
Yeah.
and so they have a lot of obsessions and compulsions. They have not mastered their
Yeah. They haven't
psyche.
they haven't worked out those earlier things.
Right.
You know, but but when you live alone, you can you get a better handle on it. You can see these things.
Well, some people get neurotic when they live alone.
Oh, of course.
Right.
Well, some people just can't do it.
Right.
I mean, I know a PhD psychologist who says I just can't live alone. He knows it.
Right.
So so he always has a girlfriend.
I get you.
He knows. He's figured out. He had to figure out what worked for him.
Sure. Well, just because somebody's got a PhD in psychology
No.
doesn't mean they've worked on
No, a therapist.
emotional problems.
No, absolutely not. No,
Yeah.
but
But they might understand them better than other people.
they'd have to be able to see at least some of the things they have.
Right.
But
I don't think Freud understood that
Well,
he was driven by phallic fantasies.
well, I mean, what was he interested in? How did he relate to that?
I mean, everything circled around the phallus for him, and then when somebody said, well, Mr. Freud or Dr. Freud, do you think that your cigar is just a phallic symbol for you? And he said, sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. But in his case, it was a phallic symbol.